Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told on this 24th day of September. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building from 100 BLK, the Black Station, along with my brother from another mother. You know him from the open line, online, and keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton. It is Fatim Muhammad, 1075 WBLS in New York City. We are in the building on this Tell the Truth Tuesday, and it's about to go down. Good morning, brother.
Morning, brother Joe. Let me just put this out there real quick. Anybody in ATL know how to reach me? You got tickets to the game tonight? Call me. I'll be in ATL in 4 hours. I'll get there.
Say that one more again.
You got tickets for the Atlanta Braves, New York Mets coming into town. We take 2 out of 3 in your home stadium. Good night, goodbye, baby. Unless y'all handle Arizona, but we'll see. We'll see. Atlanta plays the Mets very, very well, very, very tough, and they both are hot teams. And this is for the playoffs, baby. This is for the money. This is where the money's at, baby. So let's see what happens.
Have tickets. We'll travel.
Damn right. Matter of fact, I don't need. Wait a minute. I don't know why I said tickets. Ticket.
He needs
by myself. I flow by myself.
He said he need a ticket.
A ticket. I mean, I'm the ladies' man, but I ain't bringing no ladies with me. I got Met fans that'll be down there, so I'm solo. I'll get in my car, put my music on. We'll get in a conversation with that person, know who they are, and then I'll just hit 95 and head on into ATL. Or hit 20 and go right on into ATL.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to Georgia, the ladies, man.
That's right. That's right.
Hello, Bolo. Good morning, family. I see y'all in the
ladies in ATL, Joe. You know why? There's a lot of shaky down low brothers down there ain't handling their business, so it's a lot of ladies down there.
Them Georgia peaches. Watch out, Georgia. He's coming. If he get a ticket,
you know what peaches look like, right?
The ladies, man.
Yeah, you know what peaches look like, Joe, right?
This boy, yeah. Welcome. Good morning on this 24th day of September. Hashtag Truth Be Told on Tell the Truth Tuesday. And man, we got a lot going on today. It is Suicide Prevention Month still. And when it comes down to your mental health, it's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay not to do anything about it. Doc Griggs will be in the building at the top of the hour because, it's What's Up, Doc. And he's going to have a mental health professional with him that we can really get into the conversation because we ain't forgot about y'all. And good morning to everybody in the chat. I see you, LaDavia. I see you, KC. I see you, Michael Keefe. I see you, Eddie Barnett. I see you, Willie Pickens. I see you, Jules Wall. I see you. Tell a friend, share this with a friend. We're broadcasting live right now on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube Live. And we are on Instagram. We are all over the place. You can join us on Instagram at the JDMS. You can join us on YouTube at 100 BLK Media. And yes, we are growing. And as we grow, we are so happy to have you with us. I see the lights coming on. Oh, the lights are coming on all over the U.S. right now. We got people jumping on in California. We got people jumping on in the great state of Washington, Oregon. I see you. Nevada, I see you. Yeah, I see you. Colorado, I see you. Texas, all over Texas, they're jumping on. I see you in Nebraska and in Oklahoma. Yes, I see you. The Show Me State, Missouri is on. Illinois, I see you. Indiana, Ohio, good Montana. And to the great state of Mass, probably folks in Boston waking up. Yeah, I see you. New York City and the whole state of New York, I see you. Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, hold up, Louisiana. I know y'all up in the building. Mississippi, Alabama. Yes, sir. Roll Tide. It's about to go down, family. Good morning, and we are in the building, and we are so happy that you are in the building. I see the international lights are coming on, too. I see you, Japan. I see you, France. I see you, Germany. I see you, Belgium and Holland. Oh, yeah, I see you, Australia. Do you come from the land down under? Yeah, that part. Brother Fatim, how has your evening been? And as you see, ooh, early voting numbers are out. Ooh.
Now, before you go to politics, I gotta.
What
So
you got? What you got? What you got?
last night. Oh
Let me open
God,
up the phone
Jesus
line.
Christ, boy! I tell you.
Let me open up
I
the phone.
tell you, man, I've been traveling a lot, boy, and I exhausted a lot of money. And sometimes I do deal with the legal lottery, but my funds was a
You
little low, so I can't take all my funds and play. And one of
you
my
throwing
numbers
money.
came, but I didn't play it because I couldn't play all these digits. I dreamt something and that didn't come, but one of my other numbers came. But anyway, I wound up going out to the Elks Club in Darlington, South Carolina last night.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not in New York right now. I be in New York. You never know when I'm gonna knock on that door. My daughters don't know. As long as they got that stewed chicken ketchup, white rice, and a bottle of ketchup, I'm ready to go. But anyway,
Okay.
and a Sprite Zero, and I'm ready to roll. But I went
Okay.
to the Elks Club last night, and normally me and this guy plays together in spades. And this other guy wanted to play with me, and I don't know this guy, but I don't discriminate. This is out there for fun. We got our butts beat 4 games straight,
How do
four
y'all play?
games
People
straight.
people play spades so differently. Some people play big joker, little joker, deuce. Some people play big joker, little joker, ace. Some how does people
Depend
with
on
these
where
spades?
you at. Depend on where you at, because they did something last night. My partner did something that I've never played. I mean, they play down here: big joker, little joker, deuce of spade, ace of spade. Where I come from, we play joker, joker, deuce of diamond, or deuce of spade. They can flip flop, and then ace of
What?
spade. Yeah, deuce of diamond is
How you gonna
wild.
flip? How you gonna flip flop something that ain't a spade?
Because what happens is they make that, because when you take out two deuces, the other deuce, they make a wild card, and since it's a wild card, it trumps that spade. But some people say, how does it trump the spade? So they put it under it. It depends on what you play. You just got to know the rules, what they play. But one thing they did is, and I have a spade book, and this is not they don't even play this on the games on the phone. You don't lead out with spades, or until somebody cuts, you don't lead out with spades. And they did that last night. And my partner, he threw out spades, and I was like, what are you doing? And you can't talk across the board. I'm like, dude, what are you
Hey,
doing? I have no hearts. I can cut. You pulling my spades. So now when hearts come, I can't cut because you didn't pull all my damn spades.
well,
So, and then he didn't have, if he had Joker, it could pull everybody on the table, but he threw out a 6 of spades. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I never play with that dude again. But I gotta say this real quick, Joe. Unless you want to hit that spade thing, but you're not a spade player. You ain't a spade player, so I ain't no use. Hey, you on the amateur table with KC,
that's what your mouth say. See, I always trying to be bigger than who you are, but that's okay. We'll find out if you ever want to get
let me
your
tell
head
you
knocked
something.
out.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you,
come see the Tennessee
dude.
crew. And
You
we'll
want,
show you
shit.
We'll
You
show
want to, dude? Next time I'm there, or wherever, we do it. Because I don't sell wolf tickets when they come. But
I hear you
anyway,
talking. We'll see what you do when you show up.
I
Come on, keep talking.
talk. Just like you talked yesterday, I'm not a sore loser. I talk it,
Whoa.
and if I'm losing it, you better talk it back. Because if you don't, I ain't giving you no mercy. So
Brother, you can play
anyway,
spades, domino, whatever you want to do, and you'll get your
I'm a
head
spade
knocked
player.
out.
I'm not a Rasta Jamaican man. I don't play dominoes,
Okay.
man. I don't play
Okay.
the dominoes.
That's
But
okay.
anyway, let me give a shout out.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Shout it out.
let me give a shout out, a special shout out. And this is, and this is not aligned with what I did yesterday, kicking off and honoring Black women yesterday. But I got to give a sister a shout out. I got to give this sister a shout out.
Go ahead.
Reverend Sharpton's oldest daughter, Dominique Sharpton. She sat in for him yesterday. He attended a funeral. He attended a funeral in ATL yesterday. And she sat in, and it was in the third hour of the show. The show is a 3-hour broadcast, Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. No disrespect, but that's the name of the show. I put it in front, Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I put that in there, but that's the name of the show is Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. And this guy called in, and he was really good. He was really good, but he was talking about how late some of these women have come out on R. Kelly and Diddy. And he articulated his point he was making. He made an interesting point. An interesting point. And he was just talking about how late these women had came out, this, that, and the other. Dominique, shut that down. She said, first of all, a lot of us know Diddy. She said, it's embarrassing, first of all. It's embarrassing not only to that person, it's embarrassing to us. But what about the victims? And then she threw out, I'm a sexual assault victim. And she said, what about the victims? He said, she said, did you ever walk in a victim's shoes? Do you understand? She said, I give those women, I don't give a damn how long it took. Do you understand how courageous it takes for a person to come out knowing that they'll be ridiculed and this, that, and the other? She said, I don't give a damn if they came out the day after or if they came out 5 years later. It takes courage to come out when you are sexually assaulted and sexually abused. And I sat there and I'm not a woman. And men can be sexually abused too. But I've never been sexually abused. I've never abused anybody like that. And I just sat back. I texted her during that segment. I said, tremendous, sister. Tremendous. Tremendous. And it makes me think, you know, if a person is lying is one thing. And those that lie, like that woman that made up that she was abducted, the black woman that a couple of years ago say that she was abducted, but she wasn't abducted, and this, that, and the other. Those people got to go to jail because they make it bad for the real victims out there that suffer this and the trauma that they have to go through, because they know that once you step out, especially as a woman, especially as a black woman, but as a woman, when you step out there and you put this out, the whole world is going to come at you. What did you do to cause this? This, that, and the other. And I thank Casey and her daughter for talking about sexual abuse. It's not what you did. It's about what the person did. It's what the person did. And so I give kudos, ring the bell for Dominique Sharpton, and I stand up for all those victims out there that take that was able to take that step and come forward. Because right now, somebody could be watching this or will watch this, is suffering in silence because they were scared to come forward because they were going against somebody powerful, they were scared of retaliation, or they just didn't want to go through the whole pressure of coming forth on that person and what it comes at them. So I had to say that this morning.
I mean, I appreciate you saying that, Brother Fatim. And as a person who deals with situations like this quite often, I tell people, you don't know until you're in the victim's shoes. Many a time we all like to blow a lot of smoke and say a lot of things until the chickens come home to roost in our home or with us or with someone we love. Then all of a sudden our tone changes. Have some compassion for people. That's why when people say, oh, she shouldn't have wore that, because if she didn't wear that, that wouldn't have happened. That is a bold-faced lie. Stop saying what woulda, coulda not happened when you have bad actors out there doing bad things. Because at the end of the day, you have the God-given right to do with yourself whatever you choose to do with yourself. God doesn't demand. God says you have a choice. And so to make people jump up and try to put demands on you and then try to tell you, oh, you're it's horrible. It's horrible. People say, oh, you shouldn't have did this. You shouldn't have did that. If you hadn't have did this. People come with 50 million what you shouldn't have did when you get victimized, especially sexually. And that's sad, because the truth about it is you should have compassion and you should understand this person was attacked by some type of predator, period. I don't care if the person was a good person, a nice person, a person you know. At that moment when that person did that heinous act, he or she was a predator and a monster. And stop trying to sympathize and empathize because the predator or the monster happens to be your dad, your uncle, your best friend, your sister, your auntie, or somebody that you happen to know. Stop that, period. I'm done.
I don't believe in, I just was reading a story just now, and we'll see when the trial comes up with Diddy, and it hurts, man, to know someone that started and built themselves up and honestly destroyed themselves. If that's allegedly destroyed himself, we have to say allegedly because he hasn't been on trial. But just reading what I read today, if it's
found guilty.
Yeah, if it's true, my thing is we as adults. That's why I said, I just started having alcohol in the house because I'm not a drinker like that. I just never invited women over to my house and no weed, no alcohol, no drugs. No, I'm not. No, you're not coming over to my house. Oh, can I get no, because I'm not waking up the next morning and the woman saying, I don't remember this. Oh, so and so. You're not putting me in no trick bag. You're not putting me in no trick bag. I'm not doing that. And I just read the story just now about, some of these parties. Now we're hearing about these parties. I knew about these parties, these white parties in the Hamptons. I live in Queens. So the Hamptons is in Long Island, it's farther out, but I'm familiar. I know people that went to these parties. I never was invited. I knew people who worked at these parties. I never asked to go to these parties because I don't want to be just a follower. If I wasn't invited, and if I was invited, I probably would have went. Not knowing that some of the champagne flutes, or the flutes the champagne in the flutes could have been laced with drugs. Could have been. Allegedly saying it. They're saying it was laced with drugs. And what I'm saying is, we are adult people. I've been to parties. I've seen certain things. People have to make their choices. But you know what I'm saying? But when people are forced into doing things, sexual acts and things against their will, and then being drugged, because when you're drugged, you're not in your right mind. That's the problem. Why do you do? Because if you're drugging them and they're not quite in their right mind, or the inhibition, their wall goes down, you purposely doing that because most likely if they was in their right mind, they could make a righteous decision. So that's why people do that, to take advantage of them. Take advantage of them. And I don't give a damn what the internet say. Y'all can call her crazy. Y'all can say this. And I was introduced to Jaguar Wright, not when she was in the hip hop world, backup singer Jay-Z and the Roots and all that. I remember Jaguar Wright with her first album, one of the baddest neo soul albums that we played in my house. My daughters, my wife love Jaguar Wright there. But a lot of people want to call her crazy when she was talking this. A lot of people want to call Al B. Shore crazy when he was talking what he was talking. Well, the chickens have come home to roost now. And now, are they that damn crazy? I still see people, you can't even look at Diddy because you elevate people, especially people like us that we become proud of, that you elevate them to the point that they can't do no wrong in your eyes. They can't do no wrong. So the people that come out and talk against them, they must be crazy. It's too many damn stories out there on Diddy. It's just too many stories. And I don't think the world hated Diddy like that to come out and talk about these stories like that, to make up these stories. And the stories have been consistent.
Well, I mean, let's somebody put it out there, and we have to always look at things full circle when we speak about these things. First of all, I can only give you my opinion. I can only give you from the information that I've seen that's out there. And I can tell you that these allegations are pretty serious. Somebody put out there in the chat, what's the difference between Diddy and Hugh Hefner? There is a difference. But, once again, we don't talk about all these things. And these parties, there's a bunch of freaking parties going all over the place. A friend of mine said if they came after Diddy, all the Qs are next, all the Kappas are next. And this is funny when they brought up the Divine Nine. No, they're not, because It's a difference between having a party and inviting a bunch of people and maybe doing some adult things at those parties. And here's the difference, as you said, when folks are drugged, when folks are not in their right mind, and when decisions are made, which comes down to the point of rape or a sodomization, or doing stuff to folks where they have been drugged, they're not in their right mind. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's just right up down the line wrong. And here's the thing. There is the same inch, and it's normally measured by two different rulers. You can say what you want to. You look at the Epsteins, you look at the Weinsteins, you look at certain folks, and you look at how the criminal justice system treats them, how the media treats them in comparison to how we are treated. And on the other side of that whole ugly subject is how we treat one another. I have never in my life seen us, and even if you're right, wrong, or in between, but we are quick to grab the bone, and we are quick to talk about each other instead of saying just what I'm saying right now. I don't know what's going on with Diddy's case. I know what's out there. I know the allegations, and the allegations are serious. And I will say this: if there is someone out there right now that is listening that was at one of those parties, that was victimized at one of those parties, I have empathy and sympathy for you, because no one should go to a place where they just went to have a good time and all of a sudden wake up the next morning and go, what happened? And they're feeling all kind of way because you don't know how many men or how many women have violated your body. That's all I gotta say.
So I'm gonna go back on this. So first, I got 3 points to make. First one, the difference between Diddy and Hugh Hefner right now, you're looking at the Playboy Mansion and you're looking at Diddy and these parties. Again, I can't speak about Hugh Hefner. You guys are speaking from the perspective of looking from the outside in. I don't know Hugh Hefner being brought up on these type of charges. So until Hugh Hefner's been brought up on these type of charges, then the difference is maybe one dealt with adults and dealt with it in a more adult consent situation. I don't know that. So I'm not going to start throwing Hugh Hefner because he's white out there. I don't see the charges. Now, if the charges come out and the allegations are similar or similar, then we can compare. So I can't sit there and say, what's the difference? A lot of times we want to say the difference. I named 6 blacks that have been charged or charged or accused of sexual abuse, and I named 6 whites just to show you that it's just not blacks that they come after. That's number one. Number two, Joe may not say it, Joe may not know it. I'll say it. I'll say it. Some of these fraternities have crossed the line. They have crossed. I said what I said. I've been to Freakniks. I've been to when we was in Virginia Beach, when they shut the Strip down. You want to ask Albie Shore? Albie Shore was staying on the Strip when he got shut down. I remember never to stay on the Strip. I never stayed on the Strip when I went to these functions because I know the behavior was crazy. I've been to Bikers Weekend and saw craziness. I saw craziness. So yes, you know that fraternities and sororities, more fraternities have been brought up on hazing and other things, and it's been shut down on campuses. My boy went to KU. Let me just finish. He went to KU. They shut the Qs down on KU when he was there. He had to pledge in New York. That's number two. So yes, they have crossed the line on some things. Because I've been to these things. I've seen these things, bro. And when I say I've seen these things, again, I get out of there. I get out of there because you have to make your own decision before things go down. And then the third thing, you have to ask yourself, what will you do if you get into any kind of situation when you got to look out for someone? I will not name the people because they are close to me. But I remember, and I'm going to just be honest with you. There was a time I was in Virginia. This is when the Strip got shut down. was a friend of mine who I worked with her mother, and she wanted to go down to Virginia Beach to the Greek thing. It was September. It was Labor Day weekend. Daughter just graduated high school. Her mother said to me, "You see my daughter down there? Look out for my daughter." Fine, I'll look out. I'm not thinking of nothing. Her daughter was staying with a friend. They got into something, and her friend kicked her out. They called me. I got her, brought her back to my room. I had 2 queen beds in mine, so she could stay with me. I knew, because this is what was said to me, this young lady was a virgin. A guy wanted her to come stay with him. I said no. He begged me, well, let her make the decision. I said no.
So wait a minute.
I said no. I said no.
Wait a minute.
And let me just finish.
Oh,
I said no, because at the end of the day, I know what he was going to do. And at the end of the day, he was going to take advantage of this young lady, even if she would have agreed to it. You understand what I'm saying? But I also know that she was impressionable. So sometimes you got to step up and do what you have to do. And I did what I had to do.
So Fatim, I just got to ask a crazy question. And I ain't disagreeing with what you did. Is this the same Fatim? How old was this young lady?
She just graduated high school. She's 18.
Okay. So she was grown.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this the same?
Considered 18. Yeah, she was grown.
Wait a minute. No, consider is
she's 18, brother.
Is this the same Fatim that if I rewind the tape back a few shows,
right?
I remember you talking about that, we can't interfere with the kids and they have their own rights and this, that.
When did I say that?
I can rewind the tape. I remember.
Kids they have their own decision. But when you know that it's somebody, okay, Joe, so let's go there now. Because this is something. When you know somebody's a predator, I knew this guy was a predator, bro. So if I knew he was a predator, and that was your daughter, and I knew that, and then I come back to you and say, yo, Joe, well, your daughter was 18. I let her make the decision, but I knew that Negro was a predator. What would you say to me, my brother?
Well, Brother Fatim.
Okay, then. Damn right.
No.
I did what I had to do.
Right, hold it. And I respect what you had to do. And you have to understand, and your voice can go up all it want to. All I'm saying is, and you can get as hype as you want to. I'm keeping it cool and kilted.
I get hype because a lot of us sell wolf tickets and don't do with when we have the opportunity to stand up.
Right.
To stand up. And then we talk this good game. That's why I get hyper, because a lot of people right now are internet revolutionaries. I'll do this, I'll do that. But then when you get in the situation, you don't do shit.
Hey, and Brother Fatim, I believe that you made the right choice. I'm just asking from the point of view that somebody in here may say 18 is grown by law. She might not be mentally or emotionally mature, but when other grown folks make decisions for other grown folks, once again, watch this. This might sound crazy, Fatim, because I had to witness this myself. Since you're talking about situations, similar situation to what you had, I was reading up on it because I try to read case laws to try to understand things. Do you know if you have a grown individual that is 18 or above in the state of Louisiana and you're not their custodial parents, and even if you are their custodial parents, but they're 18, the key word, 18, and that person says, and they're cognizant, they're okay, they're not under the influence of anything, and they say, I'm getting ready to walk out that front door. And you say, no, you're not. No, you're not. I'm not going to allow you to walk out that front door. You just kidnapped a grown person. So the reason I'm saying this, and look, I'm just saying this. I applaud you. What I'm saying is, I'm glad you did what you did, but for informational purposes and for folks to know, be careful, because you may try to attempt to do the same great act that my brother did, and folks can flip that around on you and put you in a position that you don't need to be in. That's the only thing I'm saying, Brother Fatim. I applaud you and ring the bell for what you did.
Let me just say
this. Letting other folks know that, because people these days are slick, they're crafty, and they can quickly go and say, I was held against my will. I wanted to leave out this situation. I wanted to leave out the room. I wanted to go, but this person here didn't let me go. And guess what? Then you might catch a charge trying to be an outstanding Samaritan and a good citizen. I just wanted you to know that.
Fine. That's nice. Cool. Cool. She didn't. She was there. She was there. She never came out and said to me, "Oh, I want to go." See, this is the reason why I don't go too much. Let me just say this.
No, we're not going to go into. No, we're not going to go into.
Let me finish, Joe. The reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know if she will come on and tell this. I mean, she can tell the story. I mean, we both of the people are we all are still friends. We all are friends. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And let me just tell you that I'm not going to even go that farther. But I've even had more influence on her on a phone call when she decided to visit that individual. And I had a conversation with her and she made what she considered the right decision. So what I'm saying is in life, all we can do is present. I couldn't hold her against her will, but that never came up. She never said, "Oh, I want to go with him." She heard the conversation because he was in my doorway. And he was like, "Well, let her," because he's trying to let her make the decision. I was like, "No, I'm not going to let her make the decision because I know what you want to do. I know what you want to do."
Hey, brother, I respect everything you did. I ring the bell. I give you a round of applause. If I could give you a trophy, Fatim, I would.
I don't need no trophy. I don't need no trophy.
Once again, Fatim, you did an outstanding thing. I'm just saying. And the reason I say this is because somebody will say, "Well, I heard it went like this." And I was trying to listen. I have seen Good Samaritans get killed. We have a Good Samaritan here that went and did completely the right thing. A man was beating on his girlfriend. This brother went up and said, "Hey, you can't do this. What are you doing? You're in public whooping this woman." And the guy who was beating on the woman pulled out a gun and shot the Good Samaritan. I ain't saying it wasn't right. I'm just saying people these days will do some of the most egregious things when they don't get their way, and they can be wrong as rain. And wrong as rain don't bring you back, my brother, if they send you to the other side to be with the ancestors.
I mean, I got it. I'm not Superman, and I hear you, but I hear you, and I've always thought of those things, especially once I got a family. Sometimes you don't think of these things right away. But like I said, and I just told this story to my daughter the other day, how I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I wasn't in a legal place. I was just in a part of Queens that night. I stepped out from my job to go somewhere, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And a car rolled up with tinted windows, and I was with a young lady, and the car stopped. So I kind of pushed the young lady to the side. I don't know what's getting ready to go down. And the window rolled down and said, "Yo, brother, come here for a minute." So when I walked over to the car, it was this brother. I'll put his name. His name was Big Ant. No, I can say this. I can say this, but I know what I can say and what I can't say. His name is Big Ant. He said to me, "I've been looking for you." So what you been looking for me for? And I knew him. Now, we're from Brooklyn, but I'm in Queens. I don't know why he in Queens. He don't know why I'm in Queens, right? He saw why I was in Queens. But anyway, he said, "I was looking for you." I said, "What you looking for me for, bro? What the hell?" He said he was locked up. He was locked up with my other cousin who unfortunately got killed, Lil Ant. He said, "I was locked up and I got word what you did for my sister." I looked at him. I said, "That's how we were raised." This dude was trying to abuse his sister, and I stepped in. He said, "Bro, I appreciate that." I said, "Bro, if that's what you stopped for me for, I appreciate you stopping me, but wouldn't you do the same thing for somebody in my family?" He said, "Well, just like you said, that's how we were raised." That's what we do, Joe, sometimes. And sometimes we do put our lives on the line. And I don't want to die like that. And I don't want to see the Good Samaritan die. But I didn't want to see this woman this wasn't the first woman I did. It was another young lady that recently she died. But
Brother Fatim,
I saw her boyfriend. Let me just finish, Joe. I saw her boyfriend whipping on her. I jumped in, and then I walked her home. Her father was part of the Nation of Islam. That was not good for that brother. But I walked her home. He thanked me because that's what we do, bro. I can't, that's who
Right,
I
right.
am.
And brother Fatim, I will say this to the highest hills. I'm not in no way questioning what you do or what you don't do. I know you're a great man, and I know how you step
It's
in, and
not
I know
about
how
being
you
great, it's
quickly
just about
say,
trying to do the right thing. That's it.
hold up. See, now you try to make it where even when a person try to give you
I don't like the
flowers, it's
pat
like,
on the
I
back
don't
for
want it.
doing what I think is the right thing to
Well,
do.
hey, well, listen, guess what? But still, you need to be recognized. And I'll be the first one because I'm not wanting anybody to think I'm trying to discredit you in any way. Man, I know what you do. I know how you fight for folk every day. I know how you fight for the downtrodden, for those who aren't able to fight for themselves. I done seen it personally since the days I got to know you. I know who you are, and I know how you put yourself out there. I'm just saying the following. Everybody can't be for team. And guess what? If you try some of the stuff for team try, and you not prepared to get the backlash or what comes with it, you might wind up in a situation that you don't want to wind up in. And I applaud this brother because everybody can't do what Fatim does. I'll be honest with you. It's just like if folks know me from my radio days, there were times when I was under the ownership of a racist, non-melanated radio owner. My general manager was as racist as the day was long. You can call it what you want to. But I stood in there 10 toes down, even with sometimes him running into the studio going, I dare you say what you said. Those are our advertisers. Our advertisers, if they're not doing right by my people, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm going to say, what are y'all doing? We spend a lot of money with y'all. We do a lot of things to make your business successful. All of a sudden, you're not going to let you're going to do something egregious against us and I'm not going to speak out about it? No, we got to speak, talk that talk. Y'all don't know sometimes the lumps and the bruises we get, the jobs we have lost, the friends that don't speak to us no more, the individuals who talk about us out in the streets and in places that you don't know about because we stand up for our people. 24/7, 365. Take that back. Give me an extra hour and an extra day. Call me Mr. 25/8. 25 hours, 8 days straight. And we stand up for our people and what's right. And guess what? Folk don't appreciate that. No, they want to do like this dude in North Carolina. That's who a lot of these non-melanated folks want. They want that kind of guy, the type of guy who wakes up every morning upset, angry, and mad that he was born and was black. But me, baby, I wish I was blacker. And sometimes I really wake up, as much as I love this country and as much as I love where I live and as much as I love some of the things that I have accomplished, I sometimes wish I could wake up in the motherland and be back at home with the real ancestors just to see how it would be. Because I can tell you from my personal experience, I've been to Africa numerous occasions. And places I go ain't nowhere like these places they show you in the books. I'm telling you, I've been to some beautiful cities, seen some places that make some places over here look like it ain't nothing. I'm proud to be black. I'm proud to be black. And guess what? I will be black until the day I leave. And when I cross over to the ancestral plane, I'll still be black. My spirit is black. And I love this brother over here. And I'm very thankful that he does what he does. And sometimes we might not see eye to eye, but I know this, that man got a good heart, a very good heart. And on this Tell the Truth Tuesday, I am proud that this man, Brother Fatim Muhammad, is not only my friend, my co-host, but my brother, but a great man that I can see. Even when I don't see him, I know he's doing great things to elevate our people.
I appreciate that, Joe. Let me just say this. I don't forget when I was a teenager and I had a guy on my block that bullied me. And my female cousin D, and I'll give you a shout out, cuz, because she don't even like that neither. He came to the accolades of me. She stepped to that dude as a woman. Stepped to that dude, told him what she needed to tell him. I never had another problem. I remember when these guys, 3 guys, tried to take my boombox radio and threatened to shoot me and my mother. When my cousins and my friends, my cousin went one way, my friends went another way. And the people they came back with stood up for me. I don't forget that. I don't forget that when my bike was about to get robbed, I was by myself and the guy took a swing at me and he had something wrapped. It was like a chair leg and he swung, but I was able to move back. And my man, Byron Miller, he was a 3rd-degree black belt. I don't know where Byron came from. And he did one of them Bruce Lee movies because when he came, I was like, okay, now I got somebody I can fight these guys with. Byron pushed me back. I got this. I got this. And all 3 of them looked at him like, this dude gonna take us on? He said, make a move. They dropped my bike. So I never forget what people did to put their self and their life on the line for me. So that's who I am. And, you know, I can only realize that it was me yesterday and it could be somebody else today. And all I'm saying is I try to use common sense. I have 2 daughters. I'm the only surviving parent that is living. So I am not going out there because I don't wear cape. But what I'm saying is that I just try to use the right judgment at times. And I try to stay away from anything that I can. But sometimes you do. Me and Sister Casey was talking. And I don't even understand since then why a lot of people, even to today, why a lot of people gravitate to me, young, old, whatever. I don't know why. When I use the word gravitate, ask for advice, this, that, and the other, I don't know why. But like my cousin told me a long time ago, don't get caught up in the why, because if you get caught up in the why, then you don't do the job that you need to do. So that's who I am. That's who I found out what my purpose on this planet was, is to serve. But as I think Eddie Bonnet said it, or Douglas Guidry, one of them said that, is to serve. But it's not only to serve, but to bridge and bring people together or connect people and help people. And that's who I am. That's what I'm about.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
enough about me today.
Okay? Junction, what's your function? You know, just remember this, family. Right. You're right. You're putting them phrases and making them function. So my good friend, the tea lady herself, Miss LaDavia, posted something that I've completely agree with. Just remember, family, not all storms come to disturb your life. Some come to clear a path. Just remember that. So if you're dealing with something, it might be not there to disturb your life, but it may be there to clear a path, because after the storm is over, the path may be cleared where you can take that path and rise and be better and do better. You know, we need to be in a posture. I was just looking at some of the early voting numbers, and it seems to be it's 63% in early voting, more leaning toward Vice President Kamala Harris, and 32, I think it was 30-some% for the former President Trump. And that's in early voting. But still, we still got a job to do, family. And understand this, you can win the popular vote and still lose the presidency. I think that should change. I do not agree with the Electoral College, never have. And it is 9 minutes to the top of the hour. And at the top of the hour, Doc Griggs will be coming on. He'll have a special guest with him. And we'll get into the conversation. Of course, it's a Suicide Prevention Month. But even when it comes down to mental health and mental health funding and health in general and health funding, a lot of that is legislated by the government. And that's why when you say your vote doesn't count if you don't cast your vote. You are absolutely right. If you don't cast your vote will never count, because we can't count what was not casted. You got to go and vote. You don't know what that one vote can make the difference of. But guess what? If a whole bunch of you say my vote don't count, I don't vote, I don't participate, I don't do this, I don't do that, that's tax. Listen, these are the people who make the laws that control the taxes. And if you didn't vote, you didn't even have a say-so on who makes the laws that govern the taxes that you pay. And it ain't taxation without representation, because you had the opportunity to go vote. You chose not to. Family, you got to do whatever you got to do to exercise your right to go vote. You got to go back and think about what happened in the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s with your own people. People who dogs were sicked on, people who were hung, shot, killed. Just trying to say, I have the right to cast my vote and to be a part of the process to get the officials elected that represent myself. Family, we got to wake up. We got to wake up. For some of you to sit there and let folks try to convince you that your vote don't count. No, your vote won't count if you don't vote. Your vote is your voice, and your voice has power. Understand, if everybody who was eligible and registered to vote would vote, things would look a lot different, and people would act a lot different around you when they know that you're going to the polls to cast your vote, because we the people, choose who governs us. This is not a dictatorship. This is not a monarchy. This is not an autocratic type society. We get to choose. And you need to right now go check your voting status at vote.org. Thank you, Jules Wall, for putting that out there. It is 6 minutes, 6 minutes to the top of the hour, Brother Fatim.
So let's have a teaching moment here, because it irks me sometimes that we say these things and we assume people know. Like Joe just made a statement. He's not with the Electoral College, never was. But do you know why the Electoral College was created? So Let's have a little discussion. Let's have a little discussion on this here. So, and that question is not to you, it's to everybody else. So the purpose of establishing the Electoral College was rooted in several concerns the framers of the U.S. Constitution had about how to best elect a president. Their concerns included: 1, balancing power between large and small states. The Electoral College was designed to give smaller states more influence in presidential election so they would not be completely overshadowed by more populous states. For instance, you got small states that are Midwest, whatever, compared to New York, California, Texas. That's why that was also one of the reasons. Avoid direct democracy. Many of the framers were skeptical of direct popular vote, fearing that the general populace might not be fully informed and could be swayed by demagogues. The Electoral College served as a buffer between the people and the final election outcome. Then number 3, federalism. It was also meant to reinforce the federal nature of the U.S. political system, where states would have a significant role in federal government decisions. Number 4, logistical concerns. During the 18th century, communication was slow, and it was believed that electors could better reflect the considered will of the people in each state. If you read this, you'll start to understand, you start to hear about electors with this whole matter with Trump and certifying the vote and all that. These are the things a lot of y'all don't even know about. You go cast your vote, y'all don't even know some of these things. Now, I also added dynamic to this. Was it racist? The question of whether the Electoral College was founded on racist principles is often linked to its relationship with slavery. This is why we have to educate. I'm not doing a podcast just throwing out things. We are here to educate too. 3/5 compromise. The number of electors each state receives is based on its representation in Congress, which in turn was determined by the state's population. The 3/5 compromise allows Southern states to count enslaved people as 3/5 of a person for the purpose of representation, giving those states more power in the Electoral College than they would have had based solely on their free population. This gave slaveholding states disproportionate influence in electing the president. Preserving slave interests. Some historians argue that the Electoral College was part of a broader system that protected the interests of Southern slaveholders. by preventing direct popular elections where northern states with large populations might have more sway. The Electoral College helped preserve southern political influence, including in the defense of slavery. So damn right it was racist. So that's it. That's why you need to know these things and understand why these things were done, when it was done, what was happening, what was going on with black people, because we was looked at as 3/5. Why the smaller states in the South were concerned because they wanted to keep, you understand, they hold on to slavery while the North want to kind of abolish it at that time. So you got to understand, and that's why you got to understand, can they abolish the Electoral College? It will be very, very hard because it has to be done on a congressional level, and they need a large amount of House and Senate members to ban the Electoral College. But that's the history, a little history lesson there today.
And we appreciate that, brother Fatim. That is, like you said, a lot of folks, and we say it constantly on this show, a lot of folks, you don't know basic civics and you don't know basic economics, and then we get folks on here, some folks, not all folks, some folks on here either via phone or via the chat want to talk politics. Some of you don't even know who your local mayor is. You don't even know who the person is who is your alderman, councilman, or the person that is the person who governs your district. And many of you just don't know politics, period. Y'all know the propaganda machine that tells you do this, do that. Some of you base your politics on your religion and your spirituality, and that's your right. That's your right. Listen, however you do it, but many of you just don't know basic civics. Y'all don't know. Y'all not political scientists. Y'all don't, I laugh when people try to critique an individual, and I'm like, how many political science classes have you taken to make that type of statement from an educated point of view? It is the top of the hour. Top of the hour. Welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. Yours truly, Joe Dupree in the building, brother Fatim in the building. Hey, we are missing one person, and we want her to come back, be well, and she'll be back soon. That's Sister Jax. Big ups to Sister Jax out there recovering. It is Tuesday, and on Tuesday we bring the good doctor in. The good doctor comes. I'm telling you, the good doctor be in the building, and he be here to give you information because we want you to get fit, get moving, get going, all that good stuff. And Doc Griggs is in the green room. If he gives me a thumbs up, I'm going to bring him out the green room, and I am. Here he come. Here he come. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the good doctor himself. Doc Griggs is in the building. Nah. What's up, Doc?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, fellas?
Hey, Doc, what's going on, my brother?
Not much, man. It's a busier Tuesday than I anticipated, but it's we rock, we roll.
That's what we
Yes,
do.
sir. Let me just say this to you, Doc, before, because, we talked about sickle cell as we kicked off the month of September. And I was in New York last week, but this weekend I was back in Florence, South Carolina, and the Delta Sigma Theta, the sorority, partnered up with a sickle cell organization down here that I'm not familiar with, and they had a walkathon. And I got a chance to meet a young lady who was the mother of 2 children born with sickle cell disease. And the son has had a bone marrow transplant, a successful bone marrow transplant. He should be returning to school because you know what it takes to get a bone marrow transplant and what you have to go through and what you have to do for the rest of your life. But he looks to be cured from sickle cell disease.
Wow.
Now, the daughter, who's Miss South Carolina preteen, is scheduled to go through the new gene therapy at MUSC in Charleston, South Carolina coming up. She's already giving some cells to the hospital for the beginning of the process for her to go and get this gene therapy. So this past Sunday on my WBLS show, I did a show on sickle cell. We had the mother and the daughter scheduled, but something came up. They couldn't participate. But I had a Dr. Lakia Bailey, PhD, out of Atlanta on, and she runs a sickle cell consortium also in Atlanta. And we talked about sickle cell just like we talked about here. And we just made sure that we continue pressing forward. We just don't want to just leave it to just 1 month of the year. But when we do get that month, we do want to focus on, just like we're going to focus on suicide today, because this month also is suicide, you know, bringing awareness to those people that have attempted suicide or contemplating suicide, and trying to bring awareness, because a lot of people are suffering in silence. So I just want to bring that to you, and thank you, my brother, for all the work that you do and everything that you do, but especially with sickle cell disease.
Man, I thank you for that. That is amazing news. I don't know if the significance, I don't want it to be lost. The fact that you have two members of the same family that are undergoing transformational therapy for a problem that's plagued our community for a long time. And I won't even say plagued the community, because we talked about it before, how, you know, it's a protective mechanism in Africa with the mosquitoes and the malaria, the whole nine. It's just something that we've had to learn how to adjust to in this new age and new world. But the gene therapy is amazing. Bone marrow transplant, and you have it in the same family. I mean, that just shows that science works, and we just got to keep plugging away. And you brought up another excellent point, and that's the fact that I know we do need to recognize these different conditions every month, but the torch needs to be carried throughout the year for all of them. You know, you don't just get diagnosed with sickle cell in the month of September. Men's Health is in November. Men's Health, they have a couple now. I mean, it seems like, to be quite honest, it seems like there's a different health week, month, or day every day.
That is true. Very true.
So if that's the case, then I think that it works in our favor, that we need to be talking about health all the time.
Come on. And that's why, Doc, you and I and Brother Fatim got together, and you know, at first people told me every Tuesday. I said every Tuesday really ain't enough with the issues we have going on in the community of Black and brown folks. Speaking of which, in the green room, let me introduce her. It's Nikki Shaw. She's a native of Richmond, Virginia. Nikki is a licensed therapist with over 20 years of experience providing therapeutic counseling services to individuals of all ages. She has experience serving diverse populations with mental health, intellectual disability, substance abuse, or reoccurring disorders, to include individuals, couples, families, groups. And she is a crisis counseling service. She specializes including working with women, children, first responders, and processing their way through recovery and traumatic experiences. She is LPC, LSATP, CSAC, ADS. Nikki is the Chief Clinical Officer at a New Legacy Family Service, a community mental health service, and she's also the co-founder of the St. Luke Legacy Center, which is a nonprofit community of mental health and wellness centers in Richmond, Virginia. Why? Because your mental health matters. A healthy you is a better you. Ladies, put your hands together in the green room. Coming up, hashtag truth be told. You see her. You see it. There she is. Nikki Shaw.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Nikki Shaw.
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
We are doing fine. I just want to say this real quick, because we got to dive deep in this. And this is not to pull away, but I said this yesterday. I dedicated yesterday's show to Black women. And I just want to see, we talk medical, and Joe has, where we do once a month, we talk about books. And this is a book that I mentioned during Black History Month. It's called Legacy, A Black Physician Reckons with Racism in Medicine by Dr. Uche Blackstock. And this, I know her. She's like MSNBC contributor. And the only thing is, I want to say this, since we have a female on the panel,
Put the book back up. Put the book back up. There we go.
There you go. And I just want to say this, that we'll touch upon this when you said Doc, because I didn't know that Nikki was in the green room, but I'm not going to take away from this because Joe, you know, I'm not going to do this. But I've said something last week, and I just want to keep this out there because we have a lot of Black women in the chat. And I just want to say that this came out last week, that Black women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women, despite being diagnosed at similar rates, according to a new study in the Journal of Clinical Oncology. The study highlights that racial disparities, not biological factors, are the primary driver behind these higher mortality rates, even for the most treatable forms of breast cancer. And it goes more on. We're not going to get into that today. The reason why I brought that up, because what Doc Griggs just said is that when we go into Breast Cancer Awareness Month and all these things, it's not just about a month. It's 24/7, all year round. And these are the things that we face. And even though what we're going to get into talk about now, there's even those kind of biases and racism there, like Sister Alexander wrote, medical apartheid out there that we face. With that being said, I kick it back to Joe, but I just want to just let Dr. Griggs know and Dr. Nikki that we're on top of these things. And we just don't wait for that month to come up to discuss this. We bring them up because we have to inform the community.
Absolutely.
So, Nikki, we do appreciate that you, at a last minute notice, decided to come in and be a blessing to us.
My fault.
No, we ain't putting no fault on nobody.
I told her last week I was supposed to follow up.
We don't put no fault on nobody, Doc. Come on now.
I take my licks.
Doc called me this.
That's pancakes, brother. Don't worry about it. Give us pancakes when I see you, brother. I'm gonna take that.
Hold it. I'm gonna be a new real soon. He know he owed me a whole meal. I'm gonna be running around like Marvin the Martian. Where is Dr. Griggs? All right, let's get into it. Mental health matters. We always listen. Folk will go to the doctor when the toothache. Folk will go to the dentist when the toothache. You can't see right, you go try to get your glasses. But your ear hurt, you got a sore throat, you go to the doctor. All of a sudden, I ain't feeling good. You know, my mind is all over the place. I'm just gonna sit here, call my friends, and ask them what's wrong with me. I ain't gonna seek no professional help. I ain't gonna do that. Why do we not do that? We got Nikki Shaw here. Your mental health matters because a healthy you is a better you. And Nikki, the floor is yours. Talk to me.
Well, one of the main reasons, especially in our communities, why that is the case is because of the way that we were raised. You know, we keep our business, our issues, our family concerns, all of those things in-house and within us. And so even though the tides are kind of changing towards more people are in therapy now than ever has been, it's still very much a stigma in the Black and brown community that if you are struggling with mental health, that means that something is wrong with you. And so it's really important to start looking at mental health as health. Like you said, mental health matters just like every other area of our being matters. So the same way you should be able to go to get checked out for diabetes, for hypertension, any of those things, you should be able to go and see a therapist or a psychiatrist to make sure that you're managing your mental health as well. Making sure that you have a healthy self-care routine, that you do have a support system of positive people that you can vent to and talk with, and that can actually support you as opposed to pull you down. It's a huge factor in not only being able to manage your personal life, but your professional life too. So all of those things work hand in hand. And if you don't have those in check, then you start to spiral.
Wow. I mean, it is.
I just did a show, one of my TV segments last week. We talked about 2 in 5 Americans surveyed, 41% are depressed and they feel anxiety. And the fact that they're acknowledging it and they're taking the time to fill out a survey. Now, we don't know whether it was 10 people or 100,000 people, but it's an acknowledgement that we're living in stressful times. And Brother Patine, you brought up there are things that we undergo as African Americans, this undercurrent of microaggressions that isn't acknowledged, that we don't even acknowledge ourselves until one day you sit down and be like, man, I don't feel like getting up. What's wrong? I don't know. I don't want to do nothing. And who do we want to talk to about it? Nobody. Fine is a 4-letter word. Good is a 4-letter word. You good? Yeah, I'm good. You fine, you're fine. And that's sending more of us down that dark path than we want to acknowledge.
And also with those, because those are typical responses for somebody to say, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm all right. But none of those are real feelings. Those are just words to kind of get somebody to keep it moving. You know, if I ask you today, you know, hey Eric, how are you doing? And you're used to saying fine, but if I say, you say, I'm really sad today, or I'm really feeling depressed today, that stops somebody in their tracks, because they're not even expecting to have to delve more into what's going on with you. That's just like that quick check-in so they can keep it moving. So sometimes when people will say that they're having a tough time, the person on the other end of that conversation doesn't even know how to respond, because we've gotten so programmed into hearing I'm fine and I'm good, that you don't know what to do when someone is struggling.
Wow. And that is true, you know, and you know, there's a lot of things, and sometimes we'll look at a movie and we'll see that, oh, it's that uncle or that aunt in the attic, or that's grandma in the attic. All these or we keep these things silent amongst ourselves because we know that there's something wrong with that loved one, but we don't want to send them to the doctor. Or those that are functioning, going to work, going to school, whatever, don't realize that some of the challenges that they have, they need to go see the mental doctor. So I made a couple of quick notes here, and this is from a good friend of mine, Terry Williams. She wrote the book, and this was a while ago, Black Pain, It Just Looks Like We're Not Hurting. And that's by my sister, Terry M. Williams. And she talks about culture silence on mental health. There's a deep-rooted culture silence around discussing mental health struggles within the Black community, often leading to suffering in isolation. Strength as a survival mechanism. The Black community has historically valued strength and resilience in the face of oppression, making it harder for individuals to admit vulnerability or seek help for emotional pain. Just get over mentality. Mental health issues are often dismissed as something that can be overcome by willpower alone, contributing to feelings of shame for those experiencing depression or anxiety. And then number 4, I have a whole list, but I'm not going to I'm going because I'm going to let the doctor. Distrust of the medical system. Due to a history of medical racism and mistreatment, there's a widespread of distrust of mental health professionals, causing many Black people to avoid seeking therapy or psychiatric care. That's 4 of 10 bullet points that I have here, but I want to throw it back to the medical, because we have the guests here, Nikki Shaw and Dr. Griggs, to jump in on what I said and add anything to that.
So, I mean, that's, oh, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just about to say my superpower is that I have super friends and I have a super sister. I'm gonna let her speak because she's an expert in this lane.
So, I mean, those points are huge, because for one, we come from that, you know, from a community, from a society that expects us to be, for lack of a better word, superheroes. You know, if we say that we hurt, if we say that we're in pain, if we say any of these things, then we're seen as weak, we're seen as less than. So we always, it's almost like we always have to operate from a point of we have to do more, we have to do better than, we have to push forward. So whereas other people, other ethnicities have been allowed to tap into mental health resources and not have that stigma. For us, if that happens, you know, we don't get mental health days, we don't get days off, we don't get to take those breaks, because again, we are seen as less than or not enough. So our culture has pushed us to keep saying, okay, keep going, keep pushing, you'll be okay, pray it away, keep it to yourself, do all of these things, instead of taking the time that you need to focus on your mental health, because it has a direct impact on your physical health. It has a direct effect on your relationships, on your work-life balance, on all of these different areas. So what happens is it just gets to the point that you push your personal well-being so far in the background that you're running on empty. You're running on empty. And so it gets to the point that, kind of like what Eric said before, you go to get up and you can't, or you're trying to make it to this meeting and now you realize that you can't function. And so it gets to a point that people literally crash and burn before they realize that they need to get any assistance, or they'll think that, like, I've had people thinking that they're having a heart attack. They just know that they're having a heart attack and their life is over. They get to the ER and they say, you had a panic attack. And they're
Mhm.
like, a panic attack? I don't have anxiety. They're like, yes, this is a panic attack. You are not having, and again, because they haven't even wrapped their mind around, okay, like you said, auntie or uncle or grandma has mental health issues. They have substance issues, but I'm not like them. We like to, you kind of try to separate yourself from that person in your family without realizing that mental health impacts all of us, and it doesn't make you less than if you struggle with it. So it's us coming to a place of acceptance, that just understanding that everybody struggles with mental health in different at different levels at different times, depending on what they're going through in their life, and it is okay. And so once you get to the point to understand that it's okay to work through those issues, then you're more open to getting the help that you need, as opposed to having to suffer in silence.
How do you
So
identify? Okay, go ahead, Doc.
there's some history with that though, as well. If you want to go back to 16, 19, 400 years, how are you today? We fine. How are you? We're good. You couldn't. It was life threatening to show that I'm not happy. I don't feel well. I can't work. I can't do any of this. And generationally, we pass it down. You protect. You're not just your own mental well-being, but you're protecting your family by not showing any glitches or kinks in the system. So it's something that you're right, conditionally just brought down over the years. Either grandma, uncle in the attic, or the back room at the barbecue. You take them a plate and they're coming out wearing a dusty or a house coat, and they speaking, we're having a good day the whole night, and no one really wants to talk about the elephant in the room, which, as we're finding now, is getting bigger and bigger every day. It's I don't know whether we're too connected to find out all these things going on in the world at the same time, with our phones, the email, the televisions, the radio, but it's getting a problem that's getting worse and getting younger, manifesting even younger.
Yes. Well, and so, and a big part of that, we always talk about COVID and how COVID impacted so many different areas of our life and how we operate in society. But from my standpoint, to me, the biggest impact has been on mental health, because again, mental health has been a huge issue for since the beginning of time. But COVID made everyone stop and sit down. They weren't able to do the hustle and bustle. They weren't able to get away and have all of the distractions and things that kind of kept their mind off of looking at themselves in the mirror. So being at home for an extended period of time, all of a sudden now people are saying, okay, now I'm having to spend more time in my household that is pure chaos, or I didn't realize how unhappy I am with my circumstances or what was going on, because I was able to go to the gym and go hang out with my friends and work and do all of these things. Now I'm having to not only sit with myself, but I'm at home sitting with my family, and I may not be happy with my relationship. My kids may be driving me crazy. Or when I look myself in the mirror, you know what? Part of the issue of why everybody is unhappy is because of me. And that's a really hard pill to swallow, and to have to do that for months. And sometimes, as different people were at home longer times than others, and even having to transition to a work from home environment. All of these changes, it literally turned everyone's normalcy of life upside down. So with that being the case, that's where more people started seeking mental health services than ever. Also, in addition to the mental health, you have to think about substance abuse. People, alcoholism, using pills, marijuana, all of that stuff went through the roof during COVID. So that also had an impact on domestic violence. You have people that, again, are struggling with their mental health, they're struggling with substance abuse, and now they're stuck in a house that they used to be able to go out and blow off steam, or they could avoid each other. Now they're there for an extended period of time. Domestic violence went through the roof. And so then by the time society opened up again, now you have all these issues that are literally sitting in your lap that you can't brush off anymore, that you can't just keep within the family, because it's too big, and the impact was too large for people to keep it together. So now, here in 2024, now people are getting help. You have kids that were directly impacted not only by their own how it impacted them for being home socially and mentally, in addition to how it impacted their education. But then they're seeing their mothers and their fathers and their family members going through all of this as well. So it just impacted, and the trauma continued to snowball. So we're at a point now that's why they're waiting lists for to get services. That's why when you think about when you're talking about, since we're talking about like suicide rates and things like that for teenagers, but between 10 and 19, since 2018, the suicide rates for Black youth has gone up 54%. Since 2018,
Yeah.
whereas which is interesting, because whereas for white teens, it's gone down 17%. So, you know, a lot of times people would think, oh, this isn't something that our kids do. Our kids are absolutely doing it because they feel like they're having to suffer in silence, and they're not getting the treatment that they think, because a lot of times the parents are thinking, oh, they're in their room, they're quiet, they're not causing any problems, so they're okay. Your kids are in their room with their door closed, and they're suffering in silence like we did before COVID.
So let me jump in here, because you said a lot. And, you know, I remember where I was riding the bus in New York at the time. And when you talk about this, the hip hop magazine, the Source hip hop magazine, front cover was filled with pictures of young people that committed suicide.
Yes.
This was way before 2018. This was way before 2018. I remember my sister station, which is a hip hop station, Hot 97. Lisa Evers, who does Street Soldiers today, and she works for Fox 5 News in New York. She talked about this. This is how, and we talked about this on our program. And with our co-host here, Sister Jax, you know, as a life coach, I've had Dr. Jeff Gardere, who's a personal friend, on this show to talk about this, because we wanted to bring this to the forefront. But there's two things I want to mention that's a little taboo when we have this discussion.
Okay.
And I'm going to piggyback off what you said, Dr. Griggs. But these two things is what I call post-traumatic slave syndrome. And when I say that, is that what Dr. Griggs said, go all the way back 400 years. Let's talk about generation trauma. The effects of generation trauma stemming from slavery, segregation, and systemic racism are often overlooked, yet they significantly contribute to the mental health challenges faced by Black people. Number one. Number two, y'all may not want to touch this. Brother Fatin goes there. Spirituality and religion. Many within the Black community turn to faith and spirituality as primary coping mechanisms, sometimes at the expense of addressing the needs for professional mental health care. The problem with that sometimes is that they're not capable of dealing with that on the clinical and professional level at the end of the day. And then I'm not here to knock religion, but I must say it. Some of those folks become so fanatical in their walk with religion that they don't even realize that they need mental health. And so how do you go to people that at the end of the day, they feel like they're fine and they need mental health, but you're going there? So we have to have these conversations, because you just say, pray it away. It ain't just easy of just praying away. God will just wipe his hand and make everything better. And I don't run from this, because those are some of the contributing factors of why we don't get the proper help. Turn it over to you.
So real quick. So that when these conversations come up, I like to bring up the story of the man and the storm. You know, he's a religious man, and there is a storm coming. Let's say a hurricane. They send the EMS to come get him. Hey man, a hurricane. Like, we got to get out of here. He's like, God's going to take care of me. Okay, but you can come to this car. We can go. No, God will take care of me. Goes up to the second floor. The storm comes. It's starting to flood. Goes to the second floor. Firemen break in. They have a boat. God's going to take care of me. I'm fine. The storm continues. The man ends up on the roof. They send a helicopter and drop it down. Hey, man, God's going to take care of me. I got this. Unfortunately, the man passes away. Well, when he gets to the pearly gates, Goes to God like, hey, I thought you were going to take care of me. He was like, look, I sent you a car, and I sent you a boat, and I sent a helicopter, the whole nine. It's faith without words. There are methods. The whole point of science, the mode. God sends you mode. The reason that we're talking about sickle cell earlier, we're talking about gene therapy, bone marrow transplant, evolving science. He gives us brains. He gives us these tools to actually help. If he gives us faith, if the religion and faith can be the door to go see my sister, then that's exactly what we need to do, because there is help, and it's more than just words. The two don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Right. Nikki?
So I absolutely agree with Eric. In working with clients, whether it be individually and families or, in group settings, that's what I always tell them. Your spirituality, your faith, I understand that that's very important. And for some people, that is enough. But depending on the level and the severity of the mental health issues that you have, you need additional support. You need trained professionals that can work with you towards stabilizing and improving your mental health, just like you have to go to a medical doctor, like Eric said, to work on your health diagnosis. The issue is mental health just has not been seen in the same light as health diagnosis. So it's important to, again, you have to pray, but then you have pray and then pray and then put it into action. And then also just understanding that the same way that you're taking, say, blood pressure medication or medication for your diabetes, that's no different from you taking an antidepressant or something for your anxiety. I always tell people, the same way people don't know that you're taking the medication for your blood pressure or diabetes, the only reason that they would know that you're taking something for depression or anxiety is if you tell them. It's confidential. Everybody does not need to know your business. So if you're doing something to work on your own personal growth, it doesn't have to be that everybody knows about what's going on with you, whether it be that you're in therapy, that you're taking medication. You have to do what's best for you, because if anything, what happens is people start noticing the changes for you in the good and for the positive. And they say, oh, are you working out? Or have you changed your diet? Have you done all of these things? And when you say, no, I'm in therapy, they're like, huh? Because it's acceptable to be on a diet. It's acceptable to end a relationship. It's acceptable to do all of these other things to improve your life. But when it comes down to, no, I'm in therapy, then that's what they say. It's like, oh, why did you need that? Well, what's wrong with you? Nothing is wrong with me. I'm trying to make sure that I don't spiral out of control. So I think that it's very important to that we as a community start to shift our outlook on how mental health is seen in our community, because it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you or that you're lacking. It's something that you work on to stabilize and improve, just like you would with health diagnosis. So I think it's really important that whether it be in the spiritual community or the health community, that you can work on all of those different areas without. It doesn't have to be one without the other. You don't have to not pray and leave your spiritual faith behind to work with a mental health practitioner. You can definitely do both. I have had a therapist and a spiritual coach, and they both get me through difficult times. So when in working with my clients, I tell them, it's important to do what you need, but don't discount one area if you know that you're struggling. And sometimes that spiritual coaching just isn't enough. The pastoral counseling is not enough. So when that happens during those times in your life, be open to reaching out to other professionals to get the help that you need.
So let's look at the foundation. So we laid the foundation, and I think this was so important to lay the foundation of talking about mental health and mental health challenges that we face. Let's turn the corner now, because first we gotta talk about and understand it and try to identify when there's mental health challenges. But now we turn the corner and talk about suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a different, as I say, it's a different dynamic because they're all connected. But what are some of the red flags, or when people, because people sometimes reach out. As you talk about, there's some people that are suffering in silence, that you get so caught up in the hustle and bustle that your child or your loved one comes in and they go in the room and you think they're on the game or they on their phone or whatever, and they still may be in front of that game, but they're still suffering in silence. But sometimes people give you red flags.
Mm-hmm.
that, look, I can't cope no more.
Right.
And they come and they pick up the phone and call you. I feel like taking my life. And of course, we say that's not the answer right away, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we, and let's talk about the statistics, but not only statistics, how do we deal with those that have, you know, because people have attempted suicide, wasn't successful, and they still have those challenges and they have to work towards that. But there's other people that's watching this now that might have contemplated suicide or contemplating suicide as we're doing this here. So let's talk to them, and let's talk to the loved ones now that can start to see some of the signs or the red flags that you need to notice, that you can try to get help for them.
Okay.
So
some of the things that you look
before you go deep with that, I want to start having. So I've had 3 friends commit suicide, and all the red flags at different stages in my life, and we didn't see any of those red flags. The stuff that I learned in school, the stuff that we talk about, didn't see it. We were always. I've been sadly, tragically surprised every single time. So Nikki, just deal with the practical. Practically, what can you see and what can you do? Because people are really, when they make their mind up, they're really, really good at protecting that space.
Like Phyllis Hyman did. He protected, she said everybody out, locked that door and took them pills and took her life.
Right. And so, and to your point, Eric, with that, there and a lot of people, when they talk about survivor guilt, that's one of the big things with survivor guilt, because people will say, I didn't see, there were no red flags. I didn't see any differences. Like, what could I have done if I didn't know anything was going on? They never said anything. I didn't know notice anything different. So you're absolutely right that like some people, when they make their mind up that they're going to do it, they're going to do it, and they're going to make sure that nobody is able to interfere with it happening. Unfortunately, most people do attempt suicide multiple times before they complete it. And so when you're thinking about some of the symptoms or the signs that you see, is one of them is withdrawing. Withdrawing. They're not answering the phone. They're flaking on. If y'all are making plans and you're expecting them to show up and do things with you, and they're making excuses. They're backing out. And you just notice that it's not like them. You may see that they are like the things that they used to be interested in is not the same anymore. So if they were like a football fanatic, you do every weekend, that's what y'all were doing. You were in fantasy football, doing all of these things. And now all of a sudden, they're not showing up. They're not making their picks. They're not meeting y'all at the bar. They're any of these things that are happening that you would typically see them doing. They're not doing that. They may be calling out of work. They, all of those things, you start seeing that their habits and their routines start to change. They may, if you're in a home setting with them, their sleep patterns change, their eating patterns change. So you see more signs and symptoms of the depression. Unfortunately, a lot of times when you have someone close to you that has died by suicide, then it's very important to watch those people that are close to them, because it's like the depression and the grief gets so overwhelming for them if they've already had those thoughts in the past, but they've never acted on it, and then they lost someone to suicide. Then their thought process starts shifting to, I really want to be with that person too. So whereas before they may have thought about it, but they never went, made a plan or went that far, now that may be the push that they want to go and be with that person on the other side. So things like that really make a difference. So again, losing close family members, the breakup of a relationship, losing a job, major losses or major changes can be enough to that would push a person to that point of going from thinking about it to actually wanting to do it. So those are the things that you really want to look for. But unfortunately, like Eric said, sometimes they really are no signs. But the thing, what I think is most important is checking on the strong friend, because a lot of times people think that it ends up being that's kind of what happens when it blindsides people, because they're like, they were great, they were bigger than life, they were there for everybody, they did this, they were in the community, they were the best father, they did all of these things. And so then from my standpoint, I'm like, okay, he was there for everyone, he's doing all of the things, who was there for him? And that's when it's crickets, so again, you're pouring into everybody else and your cup is on empty. And if you're running on E for so long, what happens? So if you're not able to take a step back, recharge yourself, that's why self-care is so important, because when you're good to you, that's how you're able to be good to others. But again, if you're being so selfless for so long and doing all the things for everybody else, you don't have anything left for you.
But how do we get
So
that self-care? Because we talked about that yesterday with one of our guests, Alethea Crimmins, and we talked about that, and both me and her talked about that. We're people person, and I pour into a lot of people, but at times I feel drained. And I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of people that I can pick up the phone, but what I pour into other people, unfortunately, I feel I can't get poured. What I feel like what I need, I can't get. So I don't go to a mental health doctor because I don't feel like I'm mentally challenged, but I just don't receive back what, and especially losing my late wife after 32 years to complications of sickle cell disease. Now, even though I have 2 daughters, they're grown, they're living their life, so I'm by myself and I look happy. I do this. I pour into a lot of people. A lot of people come to me for a lot of advice, but I'm not suffering in silence. But there is times I remember sitting on this couch. I was watching a video of Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, and I came to tears. You understand? And I was like feeling empty. And I was like, I got tons of friends, but I couldn't put my hand on someone that could help me. And there was one young lady that was young that said some words that touched me at that moment, that really helped me, that I didn't even think that she would even understand at that particular time, but she did. What do we say for those, like you were saying, I don't know sometimes who to call because I don't feel like they can give me what I'm looking for or I need.
So I mean, and you make a great point. You can be surrounded by a room full of loved ones and still feel alone. It's not about how many people or the situation. It's the feelings that you have inside. So no one can replace that void that you feel from your wife, but there are people that can be there that can support you through it. So sometimes it's not about the words that somebody can say to you, or like you said, if you were there, you were having a tough time. Someone close to you could have just came and sat on that couch. Sometimes it's not about what they say. It's about the presence of someone. So like you said, when you're pouring all of this into people, you're pouring into them for what they need. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you're struggling at a point like that, you don't know what you need to tell somebody. I'm struggling, but I don't even know what to say to somebody. So in a situation like that, that's when you say, hey, can you come over? Or, hey, I'm going to come to your house, And so sometimes it doesn't even have to be that it's a long, in-depth conversation. Sometimes you need the closeness and the space of people. I've had family members that I will go and I'm folding laundry or I'll just cook, So again, because I'm a therapist, they think, oh, Nikki gonna put me on the couch. If I'm on the couch, we're watching a show. We watching a basketball game. It doesn't have to be that it has to be about therapy in that moment. It's about companionship and genuine concern. So again, sometimes you just need a good hug, a cuddle. You need to go out and eat some greasy cheese fries, So having those people in your life that you can do stuff like that when you need that fresh air that's going to do, Eric walks 1,000,000 miles. Somebody can just go for a walk for you, because that in itself is therapeutic. Get some vitamin D, some sun on your skin, some fresh air. It just doing that sometimes will give you that extra kind of fill you up some, give you that extra push, because again, it's not changing the situation, but it gives you that time to breathe and kind of process through what you have going on. Also, like you said, it brings you to tears. People, we tend to shy away from tears because again, it's, I don't want to feel, it's weakness, it's grief, it doesn't feel good, but tears can be very healing. Sometimes you need to cry.
Therapeutic.
It's very cleansing. You know what I mean?
Going.
So so cry, let it out. Cry until you can't. Take that deep breath and wipe your tears. And I have so many people that say, "Oh, that felt so good. I haven't cried like this in so long." I have people that have young kids in the house, and they if my kids see me get upset, they think that the world is over. Cry in the shower, cry on the back porch. Don't allow the people in your surrounding. If you don't feel like you're comfortable enough to be able to do that in front of them, one, consider the people that you're around, but two, that doesn't mean don't do it. Find somewhere that you feel safe that you can.
Wow. That's it. So I just want to say this real quick. Dr. Griggs, she said, Dr. Nikki Shaw said, a hug. And it's crazy that a friend of mine gives me a hug time to time and just like rubs my back or whatever, just something like that. And in this book, The Garden Within, this is by Dr. Anita Phillips. It talks about the non-sexual touch. You talked about the hug and the non-sexual, because a lot of us need that. And I just want to comment on that. I'm sorry to cut you off, Dr. Griggs, but I just, when you said about that hug, sometimes that just replenishes you at the moment that people don't even realize how it really helps you. Dr. Griggs.
So Nikki brought up she said that Eric walks 1,000,000 miles. Yeah, I do. But the thing is, 1,000,000 steps. The thing is, sometimes it's getting up and going out. I don't know. I always go back to, we're our most honest self when we protect the little child in us, right? Little Eric, little Nikki, little brother Fatine at 6 or 7 years old. He's having a bad day. Sometimes, especially when you get into it in the house, you go out and you just walk and you look for a friend. And who is a friend? It's usually that friend that just wants to take a walk and talk about nothing. A lot of times on rough days, you'll go out and take a walk. It'll be someone that you don't even know randomly. If I walk to the park, there'll be a little kid that waves, sees me out of the blue, or gives me a flower, or picks up a rock and gives me a rock. Changes my perspective on everything and lets you know that it's not really that bad, because there's an entire world out here that can help get you back to where you need to be. A lot of times, no one else needs to be involved. The onus is on you. If you don't like your current situation, and I've learned this, Nikki, if I'm starting to feel bad sitting in the house, I'm gonna get up and go somewhere. I'm out. Let me go take a walk by myself. Go to a restaurant by myself. Go to the movies by myself. Go do something. Go to the court and just shoot free throws. Pretend I'm trying out for the high school team again. Just something, spending time with me, myself, because no one knows, just like you know what hurt you, you know what can make you feel better. And when there's no one else, it's just you. And we have to get to a point where we're not afraid to be alone, like Nikki talked about earlier during the pandemic.
But you said, but this is the thin line, Doc. What you said, I totally agree with. But what happens is, you said, what makes us feel good. And at times, because of our vulnerability, we turn to other things that are not good to us. Alcohol, drugs, overindulging in sex, doing things that is really detrimental, that it puts a Band-Aid on the problem because it makes us feel good for the moment, because we're looking to feel good, because we are feeling so bad.
Right. Emotional eating, gambling, in addition to those things, because it's that instant gratification. It's what you see as that quick fix. And so then you're doing that to kind of put a Band-Aid on whatever the initial problem is. Now you have 2 problems or 3 problems, and it's spiraling. So again, that's where I totally agree about the fine line. You being comfortable, being in your own skin, being alone, figuring out what your wants and needs are is very important. But we are still people. We still need community. Does that mean that you need 100 people? No. So many people since COVID, I've talked about people's family circles, their social circles have, for the most part, have shrunk since then. And you realize you don't need all of the people in your life. You kind of cut the dead weight when you realize, hey, like you said, if you pour into all these people, I'm calling and checking and doing all this stuff, but my phone doesn't ring. I'm texting these people, but how many people are texting and checking on me? So it was a moment of clarity for a lot of people to say, hey, if I don't reach out to this person in a week, I don't talk to this person for a week. And then you realize that 1 week turns into 2, that turns into 3. So then you realize your core group may be 5 or 10 people, and that is okay. Being okay with that small with that small group. So then when you realize the things that typically have worked for you in the past hasn't worked for you on this certain day, that's when you phone a friend, or that's when you show up. That's when you say, hey, come by, or hey, I'm coming to your house. And if you feel uncomfortable doing that, or if that's not enough, that's when it's time for you to reach out to a therapist or to a psychiatrist about some medication, or taking the holistic approach, doing yoga, breath work, sound healing. There's so many holistic things that can be done as well. People always think, even with medication helps, but it's not a cure-all. You have to, you take the medication, but you still have to manage the other areas of your life, so being open to again, just because you're alone doesn't mean that you have to be on the journey by yourself.
Right. Let me just ask you, you mentioned this early on in our conversation, Dr. Shaw. You said that the statistics shows that, I don't know if it was with Black teens or just, you talked about suicide rates going up, and then in the white community, suicide rates coming down. In those statistics, are they saying why are we seeing the increase in the statistics going up? What is driving that? And that's dealing with the problem. And but that is the problem, in a sense, the cause. But now, what can be done to try to alleviate what the cause is? I don't know. It's just they gave you the number, but if it's not only the number, but what are some of the things that are causing this now? Post-COVID. When I use the word post-COVID in the sense of being shut down, you understand? Because COVID is still here.
So a huge factor is the disparities in access to mental health care. Depending, like I'm in Virginia. Virginia ranks number 47 out of the states for access to mental health care. So access to mental health care is definitely more limited in the Black community than in the white community. You also have, like, of course, social media, cyberbullying, and then again, the stigma for mental health care. You have, adults that are more open to getting help and getting services, but they think that they don't realize some of the struggles that their kids are going through because they're not as open and honest and expressive about what's going on. So again, if they're assuming that they're just in the room playing video games and they're being quiet and they're not the kid, if they have multiple kids, a lot of times I'm telling them, don't focus on the kid that's so much on the kid that's giving you the most problem. Focus on the one that's quiet in the room that you don't even know if they're there, because a lot of times the one that is making the most noise, what's going on with them because you're getting calls from the school, you're dealing with the friends, you're active and involved in their lives. But the kid that gives you no issues and is quiet in the room is the one that could be struggling the most, and you don't know. So that happens a lot. Unfortunately, in our community or in general, the like divorce and separation rate is through the roof. It has been, but it's significantly increased since COVID. So you have, the structure of their family has completely changed since lockdown. So that is another part of it. And then again, like I said before, so many more kids are completing suicide now. It's more likely that kids in our communities are directly have direct relationships with friends or family members that have done this too. So they are grieving. So in addition to all of the gun violence that's happening too, so you have friends or family that are being lost by suicide, but also being lost to gun violence. So it's just so much that they're dealing with. And because of social media, they're getting all of this stuff in real time. Like I know of kids that have, seen their friends being shot on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, or, like these brawl fights that are happening, and you see someone literally getting maimed and they're watching it over and over again. And like, so things like that, people talk about, oh, we get desensitized. These kids are being traumatized by the things that they're seeing and they're experiencing day in and day out. And because they don't have the emotional maturity that we have as adults, they don't know how to process this. And so they don't, some of them are very good about going to their mom and dad saying, hey, I need help, I'm struggling. But a lot of them are suffering in silence because they don't know what to do with the big feelings that they're experiencing.
Oh, that's a lot to say, to unpack. Joe, you're back.
I'm back. So Nikki, if folks in your area was interested in getting in contact with you, needing products and services that you provide, or wanted to follow you on social media, how could they get in contact with you? The floor is yours.
Okay, so I either one of my organizations, my nonprofit is St. Luke Legacy Center. So that's www.stlukeLegacyCenter.com. Our community-based organization is www.anewlegacy.org. So we provide individual and group counseling as well as counseling in the schools. And we provide groups for at-risk teenagers as well as parenting groups. So we have a lot of different opportunities to make sure that we have a program of resource or service for families from birth into death.
That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Shaw out there in VA doing her thing. We give her a round of applause and we thank her and Doc Griggs
so much for
bringing her
having me.
own. It won't be the last time because your mental health matters. You know, I used to do a thing called Wellness Wednesday where that's all I talked about was mental health issues, because many a times that is the elephant that's in the room that we don't want to talk about.
Absolutely.
We don't want to talk about
We
that.
do Wellness Wednesday here as well. We do it here at my agency.
So we do appreciate you taking out from your busy schedule, your busy day, and coming on and being a part of hashtag Truth Be Told on this Tell the Truth Tuesday, because telling the truth, we all need a little help sometime, and we all get in a place where we need to talk to somebody who is a professional clinician who knows what to say and may even have to say to us, you know what, I got to diagnose you with something and give you a few pills and some medication to help you get yourself out of this, because just like you need medication for other things, sometimes you need medication to get your mental health better. That part. Doc Griggs,
Yes,
say
sir.
something, man. Say something,
Man,
man.
like I said, I told you. You told us.
You told us.
I told you. She's dope. She's extremely dope. She's brilliant. She's dope. Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, you did. So it is 7 minutes.
This is
7 minutes.
a really important conversation to have. Nikki helps me stay in the lines myself. And there needs to be more open dialogue. We need to pull more elephants out of the room and put them in the middle of the room and having these frank conversations, looking for the signs of anxiety, depression in ourselves. We always talk about what to look for in others, but being okay with looking in the mirror every morning and doing an assessment. Am I okay? And being okay with, no, I'm not. Maybe I need to call Nikki and go get breakfast to just laugh and tell jokes to get realigned, because you need that energy. And we didn't get into the energy of things, but that's all part of it. It's all part of it.
That part. So it is 6 minutes to the top of the hour. And we're going to start off with Nikki Shaw. Nikki, give me some closing words as we get ready to get up out of here.
So closing words, absolutely. If you are struggling, don't suffer in silence. Reach out to that friend, reach out to that family member. And if you feel that that's not enough, reach out to your closest mental health agency for assistance. If you don't know who to call, we have a national suicide and crisis hotline, which is 988, that you can call and contact and connect to someone 24/7 to help you through whatever issues or concerns that you have that you're struggling with. And they can refer you to someone in your local area to help you get help immediately.
That part. Doc Griggs, give me some closing words, Doc.
Exactly what she just said. Remember that 988 hotline is there. There is no judgment. Check yourself. When you wake up in the morning, I want you to breathe, check, step back, smile at yourself when you see yourself in the mirror, because you're here, you're okay, you're wonderful, and you are the expert on you. Get checked, get fit, get moving. It all starts here with your mental wellness.
That's what I'm talking about. Brother Fatim, my brother from another mother. Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
Dr. Nikki Shaw, thank you. And Dr. Griggs, great discussion. And let me just say, sorry, we didn't get to the comments in the chat, which is very important on a show like this. And we'll go over those comments. And if we need to pass them on to get some, if you have any questions, we'll make sure that we try to get some answers from both our guests to assist you, because this is that type of show that you do need feedback. It's just not talking at our audience, it's talking with our audience. This is so important. This is a very important conversation. So I you know me, I'll jot down something here. So let's remind ourselves that mental health struggles in our community are real, and so is the strength we find in supporting one another. Too often, we suffer in silence, like Sister Nikki said, believing that seeking help is a sign of weakness, but asking for help is one of the strongest things you can do. If you or someone you love is battling thoughts of suicide or mental health challenges, please know that you are not alone. There are people, resources, and spaces ready to help you heal. Let's break the cycle of stigma and create a culture where seeking help is encouraged, where we check on each other, and where we uplift one another in times of darkness. Your life is valuable, your struggles matter, and there is always hope for a better tomorrow. Let's keep the conversation going because healing starts with being heard. All right, it's Brother Patino. Until next time, peace.
That's what I'm talking about, family. As I always end the show, I end it in the same way. Be better today. Be better today than you were yesterday. Do something today to be a blessing to somebody, somewhere, somehow, that no matter what you do, there's no earthly way that they could ever pay you back. And always remember this, and this is something that you need to keep in the back of your mind, that there is no secret what God can do. What he has done for others, he will and he can do for you. For when God is with you, nothing or no one can stand against you. Tell the Truth Tuesday has now come to an end. We're getting ready for Work It Out Wednesday. I'm getting ready to get up out of here on the behalf of Brother Fatim, Dr. Griggs, Nikki Shaw. Hey, we had a good time today. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Keep it going, keep smiling, keep moving. We up out of here. Peace.
I can't find myself. I get lost inside my brain. Think I might need help, but I pushed all them away. I took the cards they dealt, and there's nothing I can change. So when I'm by myself, I just pray for brighter days. Sometimes I sit and I reminisce about the good times. Wish I could get those back. I keep on running these races that go in my mind, and they go on these tracks. I'm not ready to erase all my memories. I fight depression and I let it get the best of me. Now there's nowhere to run, nowhere to go. Look around, there's liquor bottles all on the floor, filling up the space inside my heart and my home. Drowning out these thoughts until they leave me alone. I can't find myself. I get lost inside my brain. Think I might need help, but I pushed all them away. I took the cards they dealt, and there's nothing I can change. So when I'm by myself, I just pray for brighter days. These thoughts are draining all my energy. I try to tell them to God, they said I'm going insane, and then they recommended therapy. And I go and talk to a man who's getting paid to explain. He started saying that the chemical imbalance is the reason that my brain ain't connecting to accomplishments associated with moving on in life and past the things that my heart cannot contain, so the happiness won't sustain. And he read me my options. He said, here goes the pill, only take 2 eat a meal, and it'll numb how I feel. I can't find myself. I get lost inside my brain. Think I might need help, but I pushed all them away. I took the cards they dealt.